It's a time for coffee and Ryan.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not really getting the full. I didn't get I guess this is still free coffee. Do I take the other people to get actual coffee?
Sometimes I just use a coffee in the office.
I feel gypped. I'm gonna go. I don't like this.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Counselors and Coffee, or Counselors and Teacher and Coffee.
Teacher edition.
Whoop whoop. Hey, everyone. I'm Ryan, and this is my sister-in-law, Heidi.
Hello, everyone.
And nice robotic voice.
Thank you.
This is a special edition because my family is out here in Colorado, as you saw from the intro from the toddler. Heidi, can you tell all the tens of people watching the show about what you do? Yes, I said tens of people.
Baker's dozens of people.
Baker's dozens of people. Can you tell the Baker's dozens of people watching what you do?
Sure I can, Ryan.
All right.
Well, I am an art teacher. And I actually teach in Michigan, so we're out visiting here in Colorado. But I've been an art teacher. I just finished my 11th year teaching.
Dang.
And actually my role, I teach art in the high school level and also the elementary level. So I spend half the day teaching art in the high school level and then half the day teaching in the elementary level as well.
Those seem pretty far apart.
They are. I have found I really like the balance. A lot of people think it can be a struggle, but I like the balance because with my high schoolers, I can go a lot deeper relationally and artistically as well. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of like just a big kid at heart. So I really like being with my elementary kids because they have not lost that joy of imagination and play and creativity. And so I like being able to have that time with them too.
Like innocence almost?
Yeah, and just to be imaginative and creative. Because my high schoolers struggle with that always. Mm-hmm. And our education system is it's such that it doesn't necessarily nurture creativity. So I never feel like my job has been in jeopardy. I try to do a good enough job to make it that way.
Okay.
But they really are a community that supports the arts and understands what the arts can do.
What can the arts do?
Okay, hang on. So, art can help people in a lot of ways, and it doesn't really matter what the age. I think a lot of my answer is based on my own personal experiences. I think the biggest role art has played in my life is as therapy, as a way to express and process what I have gone through.
What have you gone through? Just kidding.
Plenty. But as growing up as a child and then as a teenager and even as an adult, I have always used visual because I'm a very visual person. Mm-hmm. I've always used art as a way to be able to kind of get out what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. So with my students, I have a lot of students that go through a lot of things. And one way to be able to process that and get it out is to create art. And the art doesn't necessarily have to be of that exact thing, but just being able to do something creatively is such a great outlet for them to not only process it if they wish, but just to kind of find that inner peace,
Yeah.
In my adult life, especially as a Christian, one of the things I started doing when I went to church was taking sermon notes, but drawing them. Because I'm a visual person, a lot of times when I'm learning any new information, whether it's at church or even training as a teacher, I'm drawing the things that I'm learning. So I started doing that years ago, and then I started sharing them on social media. And it was kind of amazing to me how it then helps to encourage or inspire other people. Because they learned it in a new way, or they saw it in a new format because it was visually created.
Well, that's interesting because in the counseling world, there's obviously art therapy, but there's also a term we call, it's everywhere, cathartic. It's the releasing of pain, whatever it is, energy. And I talk about this all the time with clients, with other counselors. Like for me, hitting a punching bag is cathartic. It's getting that stuff out. And we talk about catharsis, but it's usually like a general dumping of the emotion. But what you're describing to me almost sounds like it's more getting the emotion out, but it's like focused. Art and poetry doesn't usually reflect historical facts. It reflects emotional stuff. Emotional stuff. I can come up with a better word than that. Emotional things. Anyway, it sounds like it could be more focused and intentional, almost like a better form of catharsis.
I think it's just a natural next level of that catharsism. Is that a word?
Yeah, sure.
Because
leveling up.
I think for anybody, it starts as just a dumping. You know, it's just very basic, like you're just trying to get that emotion out in a different format. But as you keep doing that, as I kept doing that in my own life, it then became more specific to symbolizing what I was going through, or more specific to, you know, better visually representing how I felt. And I think I have seen that in my students as well. You know, at the elementary age, I definitely will have students who dump things in their work. And because they're at a younger age, I don't think they fully understand what's going on. But that's another great purpose for art, is that it allows adults or teachers such as myself to be able to understand maybe a trauma or something that the child is going through. So they might draw something, they're not even really fully aware of what they're doing. But then I notice that it's something maybe a little bit more out of the ordinary. And it gives me an opportunity to either speak with that student or direct them to our school counselor. So art can be, like you had mentioned, art therapy. You know, art can be a great way to allow students and children to kind of help get those things out.
I like what you said about art can kind of express what you're feeling when there's not the words.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that art, you're kind of feeling it. It's also kinesthetic. I've seen that kind of lowers the defenses a bit, and then people start to, I haven't seen them break down bawling, but they then get to, they get more deeper.
It's so important to be able to set a good foundation for them to feel comfortable. For instance, one of the most popular response I get when I tell people I'm an art teacher is they say, "Oh, I can't even draw a stick figure." And my response is always, "Well, thank goodness we don't draw stick figures in my class." And by the way, you can draw a stick figure, folks.
Yes.
It's 5 lines in a circle. You can draw a stick figure, trust me. But it's not about stick figures, and it's not about your ability level at all. It's just about that creative release of emotions or of energy. And so making sure that anybody feels safe and comfortable emotionally to be able to just let that out is so important. I love symbolic art, and so I love being able to symbolize emotions and things with colors and with textures and with lines. And it's something I do with my students, you know, and I say, you know, what is an angry line to you? What would an angry line look like? Just draw an angry line. And again, it's just exercising that creativity so that they understand that they can use that as that
like
more
that.
creative outlet.
Another question for you. So we talked about art and kind of art therapy pieces, and I know there's school counselors. What has been your experience of counseling within the school setting? Frustration, practical, helpful?
I think the biggest frustration is feeling like I cannot offer enough support for my students. There's a lot of times that as my role as a teacher, I just simply can't spend enough time with them, or I don't know where to direct them to the right resources. I definitely, especially the high school level, mental health issues are glaring in teenagers. I think more and more so. I think any teacher who prioritizes relationships with students, especially in the high school level, understands that part of that is counseling them. I really prioritize finding those students that you can tell like they need a place to belong.
Yeah.
Or at least somebody to connect with.
Just somebody, just one person. We do that at our school. It's called invisible mentoring, and we will like go through a student list and say, okay, these are the at-risk students. What teachers feel like they have a connection with that student, and can you kind of just like secretly make sure you're on a weekly basis checking in with them. I like that.
And I really like it because it makes sure, I mean, if a school does it right, every student is taken care of.
Yeah.
Because we always try to prioritize making sure that every student has at least one teacher or one adult in a school that they can connect with. Well,
or
and
is it?
Part of that too, especially for our teenagers, because I work in a high poverty area. So a good amount of our students have gone through some type of trauma, and that can be a lot of different things, a whole spectrum of what qualifies as trauma. But when you have survived a trauma or are going through a trauma, you can't deal with emotions the same way as other people, because it's all kind of like survival mode. Same thing when you live in poverty. A lot of my students are just in survival mode. They're just thinking about like where their next meal is coming from, or like, is the heat or electricity or water going to get shut off again? And so as teachers, it's really hard, because how can we expect them to learn or grow when they're just stuck here? And so part of that role as a counselor, as a teacher, is helping them through that, and things that seem really natural to other people who are maybe in a good state mentally, they just can't. And knowing and understanding that, whether you're a parent who has a teenager yourself, or as a teacher or as a counselor, like just knowing like it takes so much more hand holding, but it's so worth it, because it helps them understand and gives them that hope, like they're going to be able to get through this. You know, you had mentioned, what are my frustrations being a counselor, is that I get that much of the student's day. Yeah.
Oh, here's one for you. What mental health advice would you give to other teachers?
Teachers, are you listening? So one of the things actually that my administrator did this year as like a spring break present was she got a copy of a book called Practicing Presence. I can't think of who the author is.
I've heard of that.
He'll look it up later and he'll put it at the bottom of the screen. Okay.
And if you like it and want to buy it, you can click on the link.
Yeah, it's got a coffee cup on the front.
Whoa, it counts as a coffee.
You can just insert a picture here. Wait. So, practicing presence. And a big part of the book is being able to focus on the positivity and the positive things that have happened. And I started practicing that with a group of close teachers this year, where actually at the end of each day, we started a group text. And we actually texted out to each other each day like 3 good things from that day. Because as a teacher, no matter what role you're in, it is so easy to get stuck in and focus on the negatives or the bad things or the frustrating things about any given day, any given student, whatever. And so making sure you're not only reminding yourself of like why it is you're doing this, like for me, teaching is my ministry more so than teaching art. Like I'm there to like love on those kids.
Yeah.
So to focus on the positive. And I think especially finding that close group of teachers that you can be in close relationship with.
Well, one of my most recent videos, we talked a lot about community. One, you have to be in community. I think that's kind of what you're describing, it sounds like to me.
Oh, yeah.
But 2, more importantly, you need to be intentional about that community, because you can be surrounded by people who just complain and bicker the whole time.
Yes.
And that's a community, but it's not going to do anything for you.
It's so true. Community is such a huge part of it, but like you're saying, you have to be intentional and you have to put into it as well.
Yeah.
And I speak from experience in one where like when I know somebody, it's easy for me to open up. But when I'm with somebody I'm not as familiar with, I'm very shy and I'm waiting for them to kind of make the first move. So you have to be able to get past that and knowing and prioritizing, like knowing what benefits it will do for you.
Be courageous.
And how you can help with other people. Like be courageous. Like find those people, but pour into that. Like make it a priority. And some teachers, are an island. A lot of art teachers are an island. But I never wanted to be that.
Yeah.
And it has helped my career professionally, but also just in terms of my emotional health, being able to have that support system is huge. And hey, I love relationships with other teachers especially too, and being able to encourage teachers. So heck, I mean, if you are feeling like you are an island, maybe you're another art teacher. I'd love to talk with you.
Yeah.
But if you're not sure like how to get connected, doesn't matter where I live, like I'll email me. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you my email. You can put it on there.
I'll put it in the description below.
Yeah, email me. Any way that I can encourage you, or if you need, like, have questions, whatever. I'm open.
And that brings us to the question of the day, and also the kind of crux and the whole reason I do this channel is that community piece and to not be alone, because there's lots of struggles, there's lots of issues, there's lots of situations that we all just struggle with. Some of us are greater and better at some situations, some of us struggle more. And the show is basically as a way that we can all just kind of help each other out. And so I keep saying this, but do comment below And that's not just to pander my stupid YouTube channel. It's because someone else probably has the same question, or someone else maybe hasn't gone through what you're going through, and your words of encouragement or how you got through something could actually really help them out.
Question of the day, take 22.
Okay. Well,
So the question of the day
is,
can you share an experience where you had a teacher that had a positive impact on your mental health? Also, if you had a teacher that had a positive impact on your mental health, I strongly suggest you contact them and let them know. They would appreciate it.
and that's about all we have for this episode. And like and subscribe it. If you didn't like it anyway. And
Love it.
subscribe it even if you hate it.
Well, I don't.
No, forcefully.
They might become like internet troll on you. You
That's
don't want
okay.
those trolls.
I have filters set up.
What's not to like about this?
I know, right?
It's awesome.
Peace.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Please keep watching my brother-in-law. He's pretty awesome.
And keep an eye out for her YouTube channel coming someday.
Keep an eye out.
Bye.
Ryan doesn't know I'm gonna record something. I'm recording. And Ryan doesn't know it's gonna be a secret video. He's gonna find this later. Yeah, Ryan, go counselors and coffee. Woo! Let's see if he puts a little clip of this in later, okay?